Hey guys, we're in the Algarve again to have a look at my boat, which is somewhere over there. And here she is, a Kingfisher 30. And if you have never heard of this boat, let's go back to the start of 1968, a time before anyone had ever sailed non-stop around the world. That is, until the Sunday Times organized the first Golden Globe race. And Sir Shea Blythe entered that same race aboard none other than a Kingfisher 30, named after a diving beetle, Dytiscus 3. Despite being aboard the only production boat, and the smallest one too, he rounded the Cape of Good Hope and reached the Indian Ocean ahead of most of the fleet. Unfortunately, due to calms and rudder problems after a bad storm, he had to retire from the race. But he still sailed her back to England, adding up to over 16,000 miles of ocean sailing. So I know this is an ocean-capable design. Now, time will tell if I can bring my boat back to that standard. The keels are of symmetrical hydrofoil section, made of 1/4-inch steel plate, filled a quarter of the way up with lead, making the total weight of the keels about 1.5 tons. Keel fastenings are 1/2-inch diameter stainless steel bolts through steel plates molded into the hull, 30 bolts per keel. Inside the keels there are 2 fuel tanks for a total fuel capacity of 60 gallons. One of the fuel tanks on the keel is, well, it's got a hole in there somewhere, so I'm gonna have to scrape that and weld it. Although these tanks are not being used anymore, there's some old diesel still in there, which is now draining. I can't see or feel any bumps or lumps on the hull. I also tapped below the water line but couldn't hear any obvious hollows or blisters. But then again, I'm not a surveyor, so I'll just go with it. The rudder blade is glass fiber and the rudder shaft 1 1/4-inch diameter solid stainless steel. I bought this boat without a survey and I don't advise anyone to do the same, but I know I'll be able to fix most things. I assume I'll have to replace almost everything, but it looked like a solid hull and a good base to start building a decent cruiser. That's it, that's the wreck I bought. And I'm gonna make it a proper boat soon. It will give me a chance to pay for only what I want to have on my boat. It will also be an awesome opportunity to learn about all the systems to be installed and hopefully learn how to solve future problems. And in the end, after all the work is done, it will feel 100 times better when I finally set sail. I know I felt a real sense of achievement when I finished building my skiff and set sail for the first time. As for the price, people have asked me that a lot, but it means nothing. Unless you know the market in a relevant country, the price will mean nothing. If I told you 11K, that might sound expensive for someone in the US and cheap for someone in Portugal or just right for some other country. The important thing is that I'm satisfied with the deal and so is the seller. Time to have a look at the sails, and before you ask, no, I had never seen the sails before. Luis told me they were newish and I took his word for it. Not that important, as I want to have a new set made anyway. The Genoa area is supposedly 250 square feet or 23 square meters. Main sail area is 200 square feet or 18.5 square meters. Okay, missing the buttons on the sail. Need to check with Luis about that. All blocks, halyards and lines must be replaced, just like almost everything in this boat. It all looks over 50 years old and probably is too. 1, 2, 3. Well, if you guys know why I will need 3 tracks on the mast, just let me know. Main cabin headroom is 6 feet 3 and berth length is 6'4". As you can see, there is no compression post. Instead, there are mast support steel beams molded into the hull and cabin top, connected by tubular steel pillars. Headroom in the fore cabin is 4 feet 10 inches and 3 feet sitting headroom. The berth is also 6.4. Luis said there was a spare set of old sails which he never even saw, so I might just take them out. Hot! There's no airflow whatsoever in here. Just these 2 little vents. Not the time or place to check this. There's no water under the bunks or in the bilge, which means that probably the bladders will be okay. Rule pump, Garmin GPS, binoculars. That's a depth sounder. It's more like a fish finder. Oh, the autopilot. Hopefully still working. Okay, these ones are empty. No goodies on these ones. Let's have a look at the batteries. He told me they were like just over 1 year old. They're 110 Eco Solar batteries. 2 of them. And there's a brand new one we put last week or 2 weeks ago. It's just an AGM 80 amp, I think. The cooking area, or sort of, has been arranged around the original molded galley structure. Not much to look at all. Under here lives an old Yanmar 2-cylinder, raw water cooled 16 brake horsepower diesel engine. It's 30 years old, but it did start first time once we put a new battery in. A grease pump here. Water separator, new diesel pump, and a lot of work here too. And now it's time to look for goodies in the aft cabin. Right, in the aft cabin, the sitting headroom is 3 feet. There are 2 berths, 6 feet 4 inches long, which obviously are not being used as such on this boat, and most likely never will. I've got oil, I've got impeller, I need a fuel filter and the water separator filter thing. Yeah, 2 parts I need to buy, and then obviously spares. So I did buy the Kingfisher, even though I knew I would have a lot of work ahead. But it's one of my all-time favorite bilge killers, and it was not my number one for the only reason that it had a very small center cockpit, which is only 5 feet by 5 feet. Still, bilge kill boats are really rare in Portugal, and I had been looking for one around 30 to 32 feet for well over a year now. So I guess I was lucky that the first one that showed up was a Kingfisher, because you can say that I pretty much bought the first one that showed up. But I could not afford a better boat anyway, so buying a fixer-upper was the only way I could get a cruiser and still get sailing this summer. Only time will tell if that was a good bet or not. And like I said on the previous video, I can fix broken stuff, I just can't fix being broke now. So next week I'm going to show you the first preparations to get capable of sailing the 200 nautical miles from the Algarve to Lisbon. It's usually at this time of the year always beating. I hope we can get a weather window to bring it with more favorable winds, otherwise it might be rough. I do not want to push the boat too much. I never had the chance to go up the mast and check all the rigging up there. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Guys, stay safe and I'll see you next week.